Hey, good evening, everybody. We're going to be doing a reading of a breaking story from Florida Bulldog. And with me today is Darin Harvey, 9/11 researcher, writer, and the other half of Beyond Ground Zero with Sean Russell. Darin, how are you today?
Hey Adam, how you doing today? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we were talking about doing a article regarding two more Saudi dissidents from the
Yeah,
government. And all of a sudden, just like that, Robbyn Swan writes an article about Abdussatar Sheikh, who is actually the mysterious Saudi who works at San Diego State University, and basically rented a room to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi while also being a 25-year FBI informant. Boy, um, I can't wait to read the story with you.
yeah, it's
So,
a fascinating story. We had some speculation about Shake, but yeah, now it's reality.
yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I know we were talking before we were recording regarding our suspicions, but we really couldn't prove it. Then, bang, here we have Robbyn Swan's article, co-opted by Saudi intelligence FBI informant, allegedly played vital role in 9/11 preparations. You can see it's September 15, 2024. And these, I never saw it. Darin, you ever
No,
seen these pictures?
I have never seen those photos before.
Yeah, these look like they're very recent because the only pictures I saw of Abdussatar Sheikh were when he was a little bit younger and 20 years ago. And here we have images of, oh, wait a minute, it's from December of
December,
2000. Wow,
yeah,
he's older than that right now.
yeah.
Hmm.
I believe he passed away, didn't he?
Did he really?
I I thought he did. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought an article said he passed away.
Well, I'm going to defer to you because I don't know. And I haven't done anything on Abdussatar Sheikh in a while. So,
Right,
hey,
right.
let's see what we got in the
All
article.
right.
Dr. Abdussatar Sheikh, the FBI informant who shared his home with Flight 77 hijackers Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mihdhar, had in fact been co-opted by a Saudi intelligence asset with whom he shared a close years-long relationship. The allegations surfaced in federal court in New York in a long-running civil court case in which families and survivors of 9/11 suing Saudi Arabia for the role in the kingdom's employees allegedly played in the attack. It is contained in a document filed by the plaintiffs. Now, I know one family member that's currently in Southern District, New York. I'm talking with him on Facebook. His father died in North Tower. Or basically, we talk from time to time, and I, shared the canister document with him. And we did talk about, Abdus Sheikh for a little bit, but um, I wonder why the FBI in Washington, and it had to be done under then Director Robert Mueller, Darin, why they would classify this information about Abdus Sheikh's involvement in with Khalid Al-Mihdhar and Wapa Hasmi. Do you have any opinions about that? Like, why would they do that?
Well, I think one thing we got to think about is probably some kind of cover up. um,
Yeah,
it, I mean, this is what we're talking about. This is the families not getting the justice they deserve. This
right.
stuff should have been known back when they were doing, the joint house inquiries with,
Yes.
with everyone else, with CIA and everyone. This should have been known. In 9/11 Commission report, this is something they should have actually been on as well. So, yeah, holding this type of information back just makes the government look bad, and
Yes.
it kind of spews those crazy kooky conspiracies
Right.
because of stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely should have been shared way long ago.
I agree. And then look, Abdus Sheikh was actually mentioned in a footnote in the 9/11 Commission report. In the
Yeah,
footnote, that's it. He wasn't
that's it.
even mentioning anything else.
No, there should
Let's
have been
continue.
no, there should have been a whole chapter on them.
Should have I agree. It should have been a whole thing
Yeah,
because they were there for a couple of months.
absolutely, absolutely.
So Saudi intelligence asset Omar al Bayoumi helped the two future hijackers settle into life in the United States in 2000. After 9/11, 2001, he and Fahad Al Tamari, an official at the Saudi consulate in Los Angeles, who we spoke about in our previous video,
Yep.
became the subjects of a lengthy FBI probe Operation Encore and sought to establish whether they had willingly provided such assistance while knowing that Al Hazmi and Al Mido were in the U.S. to commit an act of terrorism. That's what I talk about in terms of like
Mhm.
the only thing we're missing are specifics. Did
Right,
Abdus Sheikh know specifically that they were going to conduct the attacks? Well, let's
right.
see what the article says. The FBI informant, Dr. Sheikh, was never publicly acknowledged by the Bureau. and is identified in 9/11 Commission report as an apparently law-abiding citizen with friendly, long-standing contacts among local police and FBI personnel who opened his home to the hijackers after meeting him at the local mosque. Now citing fresh witness testimony, FBI files and evidence retrieved from Bayoumi's home by British police in 2001, which the FBI classified too, and we have no idea. But like Darin said, it was a cover-up. But apparently, never previously examined the plaintiff's legal team as painting a troubled portrait of Dr. Sheikh's role. There's Omar al-Bayoumi. Dr. Sheikh's alleged role. Well, here we go. In a court filing and in oral arguments opposing the kingdom's motion to dismiss, the plaintiff's lawyers contend that Dr. Sheikh was recruited by Omar al-Bayoumi. That's news to me. Darin, is that news to you?
Did not know that till today.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
That's fascinating. So
because
this is
now,
the first time me and Darin are basically learning.
Right. So this is now we're tiptoeing on double agent now, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. To house an advanced team sent to California to assess it as an Al-Qaeda base. That al-Bayoumi took Sheikh to Los Angeles to introduce him to alleged Saudi co-conspirator Fahad al-Damari.
Wow. You just want to throw your hands up.
Oh, my God. The Thumerian Bayoumi hired Sheikh to perform tasks for the Saudi government that Bayoumi planned for al-Hazmi and al-Midar to stay with the Sheikh more than a year in advance of their arrival in the U.S., and that he arranged his own travel schedule to be back in San Diego for movie. Let me bring up something to you, Darin. I want to get your thoughts on it. According to the FBI, that was declassified information to PENFOM and then later to Operation Encore. What I've learned when I read these files was that the reason Abdussatar Sheikh got al-Hazmi and al-Midar was that he put out a flyer in this mosque in San Diego. I forgot the name of it. Forgive me. And basically, he got a call from somebody who was working there that there were two men who wanted to rent a room from Sheikh's house. And when he got there, it was al-Hazmi and al-Midar. So in other words, al-Midar and al-Hazmi answered an ad of Dr. Sheikh. That's what the FBI says. Right. Now, with this new information, we see that it was al-Bayoumi and Fahad al-Damari who introduced Sheikh to al-Midar and al-Hazmi. Wow, Darin.
Yeah. Where do we start? So this goes back to the Canistero files, right? So now we see the operation that's going in effect with the CIA and Saudi. It's clear with this. This was an advanced team 1 year. So there is pre-scouting going on to when these al-Hazmi al-Midar arrived. That is crazy to me. 1 year. And they're just sending an advanced team. So there's something going on, Adam. This is something very suspicious, and this is just proving our suspicions correct.
I think this is huge because, like you said, this is actually a year in advance now, and they stood there for many months. So, and right under the FBI's nose, because remember, Dr. Sheikh is an FBI informant. His handler is Stephen Butler, right? Yeah. Stephen Butler, correct. And Butler had no idea about them until Sheikh told them, but he only told them their first names. He didn't tell them their surnames, right?
This kind of reminds me of like if somebody commits a crime, it's actually worse when it's premeditated. This reminds me of this. There's a crime, but being premeditated, it's definitely a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine what else the article is going to say. And entries in Bayoumi's address book link Dr. Sheikh to the two Saudi religious propagators, Adel Muhammad al-Sadhan and Mutab al-Sadari.
Yeah.
These are the men, by the way, these are the two men that that are seen in the video that was released by 60 Minutes. For the first time ever, we ever see these people. And they were sent by the man running the operation inside the United States, Muhammad al-Jar, who me and Darin talked about in the last video regarding the operation working at the Islamic Affairs Ministry in Washington, D.C., who hired Fahad al-Damari, who got Omar al-Bayoumi, who got Osama Basnan, Mutab al-Sadari, then the two others who we didn't get to because we wanted to break the story that you read and brought to my attention.
So there's another article by the Bulldog who mentions two other guys, and maybe we could talk about that some other time. But there's actually two other operatives who were another advanced team. So yeah, this is starting to look like a big operation, doesn't it, Adam?
It's huge. I mean, now everyone's connected. I mean, it's no, what the FBI's now
It,
declassified in court.
and what's awesome is we have names. This is what's great. We actually have names, so we're not doing pure speculation and saying, "Oh, it might be him," or no. We actually have names.
I've been,
This was so great.
yeah, this is, I'm trying. Me and Darren has been saying this for years now. Unlike, certain people in the alleged 9/11 truth movement,
Sure.
and I'm saying alleged because they're not truthers. Some of these people, not all of them, by the way. We're just talking about fringe
Right.
cell within the truth movement that propagate these theories without even connecting the dots.
Correct.
And I don't want to drone on because I want to talk about the article. But World Trade Center 7, 1 and 2, they think all came down by explosions. Now I'm not an engineer, so I'm not qualified to speak
Hmm.
on this subject. I have limitations,
Sure.
but at the same time, they love to blame people regarding that, but they can't connect anything. All right, let's get back to that later until we can. But
Right.
right here, Darren,
Hmm.
we got people, we got names, we got a conspiracy, we got a cover up, as you just said earlier.
Hmm.
Why? I mean, I don't understand this, neglect of, 9/11 is a lot of conspiracy to it.
Because this takes extra research, Adam.
I guess so.
Yeah.
God's sakes. Entries in Biomi's address book linked Dr. Sheikh to the Sudan propagators who made up an advanced team, having hosted the two men. Sheikh subsequently traveled to the kingdom. He went to Saudi Arabia to visit the pair. Okay.
Oh man. So
Wow. It just,
what a great FBI informant, huh?
yeah, really. Wow. Video taped by British police show Sheikh dining at Biomi's home and accompanied Biomi to the mosque where Fahad helped him marry. Well, I mean, just like this bumbling pops, they got him. I mean, this is
Yeah.
it. Biomi admitted he had steered the two future hijackers to Sheikh's home.
Well, duh.
I mean, gee, Christmas. In the plaintiff's argument are eerie echoes of something colleague Anthony Summers, the book, the sky, the blue sky, or something like that. It was a
Yeah.
really damn good book.
It's a
I
good book.
can't.
I have it somewhere in my
Sorry, Anthony.
library. Yeah.
Yeah, book too. Damn it. Um, who told years ago by former Florida U.S. Senator Bob Graham, who died earlier this year. Oh, I
Yep.
didn't know that.
Oh, you know about Bob Graham?
No, I didn't know he
Yeah,
passed
he
away.
passed away like a couple months ago.
Ah, damn. Not to sound, too morbid here, just 2 months ago, I sent him an email about an interview, but someone else answered and said that he was retired from public life. I figured he was old and, all right, that's understandable. But yeah, I would love to have talked to Bob Graham.
Yeah, I think it was a couple months ago, if I remember right.
Ah,
Yeah.
Democrat Graham, co-chair Congress, joined inquiry into 9/11 and in retirement pursued a long campaign to uncover the truth about the Saudi role. Dr. Sheikh, Graham said, was a close confidant of Al
Mhm.
Bayoumi. The new evidence, the plaintiff's lawyers argue, confirms Sheikh's role as a Saudi agent and facilitator in San Diego, and that Sheikh was working for the Kingdom of Saudi
Saudi
Arabia when Al
Arabia.
Hasmi Al Midar lived with him.
Hmm.
Gee,
If that doesn't scream double agent, I don't know what does, Adam.
I don't.
This guy,
You're right, Ali
he,
Muhammad style.
this is Ali Muhammad, dude. That's the name. Was getting ready to say this is Ali Muhammad
Yeah.
style right here. Wow, this is amazing information, and I hope people really share this and really talk about this because this is amazing stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Look, me, Darren, I'm not doing this for the laughs or the kicks. We're actually trying to break breaking news to you regarding what's happening on this specific subject, and of course, the latest news or whatever. But I mean, this is something that no one's talking about. I mean, we're basically ourselves and Nelson and Sean and the Project for New American Century guys, and even John Gold. These
Oh,
guys.
absolutely, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, we're trying to update you on what's happening in the case itself, and this is enormous right now, right here, reading this.
Yeah, it's like I said, I was this was on Twitter and Florida Bulldog shared this and I retweeted it, of course, and shared it
Mm,
and I
mm.
liked it. At the time, it only had 5 likes and 3 retweets.
Ah,
It's I know it just shake my head. It's like this is so pertinent information, and
And
Oh,
look, we're small channels, by the way. We don't reach a large audience. I lost my original channel, which had
yeah.
6,000. But I mean, I wish a large platform, Darren, would actually talk to one of us and just basically, we could bring this up to them and just basically they can echo it. Hey, we don't need me and Darren don't need the popularity. We don't need to have our names out there. We just want the information out there. That's
Oh,
it,
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
the viewer's shake could not be more different than that of former San Diego Chief William Gore. Gore, who spent 32 years with the Bureau, was a special agent in charge of the San Diego field office from 97 to 2003. He went on to serve as San Diego County Sheriff before retiring in 2022. There's Bob Graham. In an interview with Florida Bulldog, Gore acknowledged for the first time that Sheikh, who is now dead, you're right, Darren, he
Yeah.
is passed
Okay.
away, who is now dead, had worked as an informational asset for the San Diego field office during his tenure as special agent in charge. Wow, that's a long time. So, look, 97. But I
Yeah.
think it goes back even further,
I think.
actually, regarding the FBI files.
Yep.
Um, Gore called Dr. Sheikh, with whom he said he lunched regularly while sheriff. One of the finest guys I ever met. It's the first time, not the first time I heard about Sheikh being very classy and whatnot, but he has to be.
Right.
He's
Absolutely.
got to be
Absolutely.
nice and affable. He's meeting with young Saudis and Arabs. Who God
Absolutely.
knows what he's telling them. Three faces of Dr. Sheikh, the landlord. On the afternoon of September 11th, FBI agents searched an abandoned car at Dulles Airport outside Washington, D.C., retrieved an address. 88451 Mount Vernon, Lemon Grove, Cal.
Grove.
That's Sheikh's apartment right
That's Shake's
there.
apartment. Yep.
Right. It led them to a modest two-story home in a working-class suburb of San Diego, owned by a 65-year-old Indian immigrant named Abdussatar Sheikh. Years later, Daniel Gonzalez, one of the agents who followed up on the lead and who believes the lead in Operation Encore, crawled to ProPublica, rushing to the address with a small army of colleagues, including a SWAT team with a battering ram, only to be surprised when the owner answered their knock and let them in. It would be a week before Gonzalez learned that Dr. Sheikh was an FBI informant, and reportedly, weeks more before the local office informed FBI headquarters of the fact. That's something else, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding it took a week for Daniel Gonzalez to find out
Gals.
he was, because that means that he was a C1, meaning the highest classification informant in which he was. That Stephen Butler considered him a C1 informant. Even the FBI, Darren, working with Operation Encore, didn't even know about
No.
Sheikh. And now finds out he's an informant after some time. Why do you think, and just to get your thoughts, it's just speculation, it's fine. Just to get your thoughts, why do you think the FBI kept this away from those working on Operation Encore?
I don't know. That's a very interesting question, Adam. It's I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy, but
Mm,
maybe to keep the circles thin, don't have so many people know about it to spoil
mm,
the operation. Because you got to remember, there's a operation going on with the CIA and the Saudis, so
yeah,
it's
right.
really hard to say because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
But maybe they want to keep that circle thin with less people knowing, only certain people knowing because they didn't want it to come out. Then maybe they come out and like if Gonzalez knew or something, maybe he comes in and busts the operation. He doesn't trust Shake, and maybe they go and bust
Mm.
him. There could be a lot of things, but yeah, that's definitely interesting that he didn't know to after the fact a week later.
Yeah, I like the notion that you put up there with CIA. The CIA's covert, very covert operation with
Absolutely,
Saudi
yeah,
intelligence about Al Minar Hazmi. I wonder if that had something to do with it.
it
But
quite possibly
like you
could. Yeah,
said, but yeah, but like you said, you don't want to like
I don't.
use speculation as a
Mhm.
form of evidence. I agree with you there. In the meantime, the portrait of Dr. Sheikh and his relationship with the young Saudi tenants began to emerge in press reports. Sheikh was born in India in 1935, though a Muslim. He was educated in Catholic schools before immigrating to the United States in 1959.
Wow.
Arriving in San Diego in 1970. Wow, he's been in San Diego for a long time.
Yeah.
Sheikh said later he was disappointed to find nowhere to worship. Dialing every Muslim sounding name in the phone book, he quickly gathered 50 men to join him in prayer in an empty warehouse. From that initial gathering grew the Islamic Center of San Diego. Okay, this is the place I couldn't remember where Dr. Sheikh put the ad on for the rooms
Oh,
in Al Midar and Al Hazmi answered. By 2001, the largest of 50 mosques in the city, when Sheikh, as a respected founding member, later He found a small Uthman mosque in Lemon Grove. For several years at the turn of the millennium, he participated in Catholic-Muslim dialogues. Sheikh also spent 8 years on the Citizen Review Board on police practices and had served as an honorary sheriff from 1971 to 1995. My goodness, this guy's
Wow,
got connections.
he sure
Jesus
does.
Christ. Known affectionately in the community as the doctor, he had a PhD. Sheikh had taught community college, but told the New York Times reporter that after 9/11, that most of his income came from teaching English as a second language to a Saudi naval officer and their families. Interesting.
Hmm.
Saudi naval officers. He had
Hmm.
divorced, and after his wife and sons moved out, began to take in foreign students. He was sad and hurt when he heard about the 9/11 attacks. Sheikh told the Times he was incredulous that the two men with whom he had shared his home could have perpetrated such acts. He suggested the pair might have had their identity stolen by the real terrorists. I am 3 times more upset than the average American, Sheikh said. Sheikh described the two future hijackers as quiet, religious, and thoughtful family men. They said they wanted to learn English. They used his computer, but always went outside to use their cell phones. Yes, that in the Operation Encore
Hmm.
does mention
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Never using Sheikh's landline. Although Sheikh offered them rooms for free, the pair insisted on paying 300 a month. Oh, I know that. He offered those rooms for free. Did you know that at all?
I did not know that. That's what's
Interesting.
great about this article. I'm learning so much.
Yeah, it's like they're great. Robbyn Swan, Anthony, Dan Christian,
Yeah,
they're the best.
great job at Florida Bulldog. Just great job.
Yeah, they moved in, he said, in September of 2000. Midar was homesick and returned to Middle East. Well,
Yep.
no, Midar
He wasn't.
actually, as Darin said in the other video, he to Yemen to visit his pregnant wife, right, Darin? He
Yeah.
knows he
Yeah,
actually
he
leaves.
was also there to help with a certain attack called the USS Cole. So
Yeah,
yeah.
as
So
Darin mentioned in the previous video. That's
hmm
right.
yeah,
That's correct.
he wasn't homesick. He
Right.
had a duties to attend to called blowing up a U.S. warship.
Which, by the way, was talked about allegedly in the Malaysia summit meeting in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh
And the
yeah,
CIA and NSA knew about that, didn't tell the
it
FBI.
did tell you. Yeah, we'll keep that one a secret.
Yeah. And returned to
That,
the Middle
that
East
doesn't seem
after
important.
and returned to the Middle East after only 6 weeks to see his wife and new daughter. And there they are. That's Al Hasmi Al Middle. Sheikh and others said the older man became especially close to Al Hasmi. When Al Midar was in Yemen, he got to know Al Hasmi. By the way, I don't know if the article is going to say it, but actually, I'll just mention it anyway, just in case something that you're quite familiar with, Darin. Actually, Al Hasmi gets hired by Sam Mustafa at Sam's Start Mart.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
And yeah, and Sam Mustafa is like a militant. He hates the United States. He
Oh
wishes,
yeah.
yeah, he
I got.
freaking
I'll go with it. I think there's an article. I think as you go down, it talks about Mustafa. I'll talk more
does it.
about him. Oh yeah.
Yeah, all right. We'll get back to you for that one. Sheikh helped him compose a personal ad, actually. In December of
Mhm.
2000, Sheikh said a friend of Al Hasbi's named Hani, well, Hani Anjur,
Yep.
arrived in San Diego. They were leaving for San Jose. Al Hasbi explained that he was to take flying lessons. For a month or so, Hasbi said the doctor exchanged friendly messages. Then, after calling to say he and Hani were off to Arizona for further flying lessons, and that's going to Ken Williams territory.
Yep. Phoenix Memo.
Ken
Yep.
Williams, who wrote the Phoenix Memo, for those who don't know. Al Hasmi went silent. It was Sheikh's last contact with his young friend. Informant or not, the Bureau had a lot of questions for Sheikh. In the months after the attack, he was interviewed 5 times, and all of them were classified except for one.
Yep.
Sheikh was cooperative, agents recorded, but a polygraph about whether he had any prior knowledge of the attacks was
Mm-hmm.
inconclusive.
Inconclusive.
You
Interesting.
know whose polygraphs were also failed? Well, this is inconclusive. Whose polygraphs were failed? The Israelis.
Yep. The dancing
Dancing
Israelis.
Israelis. That's
Yep.
right. Then in the summer of 2002, investigators from Congressional Joint Inquiry arrived in San Diego. And here comes the informant, Dr. Sheikh. When congressional staff arrived, former special agent in charge Gore told us at the Florida Bulldog his office cooperated. He worried, though, when they were briefed about Sheikh's relationship with the office, as Gore feared Sheikh's name and that of his FBI handler, Special Agent Stephen Butler, leaked to the press almost immediately.
Hmm.
And by the way, I found out later, Darin, that Butler actually gave closed door testimony to the 9/11 Commission.
Closed door. Okay.
Yeah, it was the same thing for Thomas Drake and
Thomas.
Mark
Yeah.
Rossini.
I've seen.
Senator Graham and Portergoss, the co-chairs of the Joint Inquiry, began pressing for access to the informant. It was denied wow, the FBI, which I'm sure Darren is getting the orders from the Bush White House to classify the information. I wonder why. Why do you think that is?
Oh, you got to protect your interests, right? And you got to
That's right.
protect the Saudi interests. And
That's correct.
that's been the whole deal with 9/11, and that's why people blame Bush for 9/11 because he
Yeah.
protected the Saudis. It's not because Bush was behind it, but he was protecting his friends, and there was a cover up, and there's no denying there was a cover up with Saudi involvement. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no denying that. But yeah, you got to cover it up because they're your friends, right? And you don't want to you go down that path where you know they did so much with
Mm,
involvement, and covering up sometimes worse than the crime, as some people say. So definitely, that's why I always rip on the Bush administration, not,
mm,
not just for their ineptitude because they were inept, but it's because the cover up of not going after the Saudis when they definitely knew they were sending informants and they knew what was going on. They had people in Washington
mm.
hiring these people like Fahad Mary and Omar
Yeah.
Bayoumi. That's what's crazy. It was happening on our own soil, our own American soil. This was happening, and like I said, this is why people blame the Bush administration.
Mm,
I blame them for a different way. I don't blame them for orchestrating attacks. I blame them for the ineptitude, for their gross negligence, for their cover up, for Saudi interests. So that
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. It's a really good point. Also, just to add to that and piggyback off your answer, the Bush White House actually also covered up the fact regarding certain Saudi operatives
Hmm.
that were basically also Al Qaeda militants. So you wonder, like, wow, it's just like, even the Bush administration had at some level
Hmm.
knowledge that Muassad al Jarrah had links to Islamic militants because the FBI files in Operation Encore, stated that he had
Stated that,
such, and he
yes,
wasn't the
absolutely.
only one.
Right,
And
absolutely.
like you said, it's happening inside the United States, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
And they're
that's
still covering it up. They're still
still
classifying
still
information.
still covering up to this day.
Uh,
That's what I feel for the families, Adam. This
oh
is
yeah.
I feel so bad.
Oh. Graham recalled in his book Intelligence Matters that when he attempted to present FBI counsel Kenneth Weinstein with a subpoena for Sheikh's appearance before the committee, Weinstein leaned back from the subpoena as if it was radioactive.
Strong word.
Then FBI Director Robert Mueller and Attorney General John Ashcroft objected strenuously to the committee calling Sheikh, even though he had already been publicly outed. Now look at that. You have the U.S. Attorney General, you have
Yep.
the then Director of the FBI, Robert Mueller, actually involved in the cover-up regarding an investigation by congressional members of the United States government in regards to their investigation in Saudi Arabia's terrorist role with the 9/11 attacks. And you're like, what the hell? I thought they were on our side. They serve us.
Yeah.
Here they
This
are.
this is absolutely embarrassing. It's concerning too.
Yes.
I will say,
Yeah.
because yeah, they don't have the American people interests firsthand here. They don't. This is covering up their own ineptitude. This is covering up their failures, Adam. This is
Oh,
what this is.
yeah, exactly right. Instead, the Bureau suggested the committee submit written questions. They did, but the FBI sat on the questions for weeks. By then, Sheikh had hired a retired Justice Department lawyer who told the committee that Sheikh would not be appearing for questioning with a formal grant of immunity, nor would he answer written interrogatories. The whole episode, Graham later wrote, left him wondering whether the informant was using the FBI. That would lead to your point about being a double agent there.
Yep.
Did Sheikh know something about the plot that would be even more damaging were it revealed? That would be something.
Yep.
According to Graham, in the midst of all this back and forth, a senior member of the FBI Congressional Affairs staff sent Tim and Goss a letter saying the Bureau was acting on orders from the White
In the
House,
White
just
House.
as me and Darin suggested. The
Yep.
administration, the staffer said, would not sanction a staff interview with the source. We were seeing in writing what we had suspected for some time. The White House was directing the cover. There it is. Right there's Special
There it
Agent
is.
Todd William Gore. Where Gore sat in San Diego, things look very different. When the FBI opens an informational asset, we make a commitment to that individual to keep their cooperation with the U.S. government confidential, he told Florida Law. It was a practical matter as well as a moral one. No one would ever agree to cooperate with the Bureau again, Gore explained. He's right, of those that he could not protect their sources. But when Dr. Sheikh's cooperation was leaked by Congress, it had a devastating impact on the standing in the Muslim community, professionally, personally, and financially, he said. Sheikh's handler, Agent Butler, had recruited the doctor, codenamed Muppet, had an informational, that's news to me. I thought it was Stan.
I know it was
Maybe I was
Stan
wrong.
too.
Yeah, I thought it was Stan. As an informational source in May 1994, in lengthy appearances before the Joint Committee, the agent recalled their relationship. Quote, at some points, I would like to speak to the informant several times a day for hours at a time, while there were also periods I did not speak with the informant for several months. In the summer of 2000, the informant told me that the informant met two individuals the informant described as good Muslim Saudi youths who were legally inside the United States, that's Al Hazmi and Al Midar, to visit and attend school. According to the informant, they were religious and not involved in criminal or political activities. At some later point, but before September 11th, the informant told me their names were Nawaf and Khalid, just like I said, they didn't use the
Yep.
surname. The informant did not tell me their last names prior to September 11th, 2001. And I wonder why. I've always wondered why did he just, why didn't he just mention their names? Why did he say Nawaf and Khalid? And like you say, want to go down that speculative road, but
If you are truly a double agent, you're probably not going to give up uh your people. I guess
yeah, they're
unless
true. True.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he didn't want to
True.
give them up. That's
So that
my
would
theory.
imply that. So Darren, you're implying that he knew about the role at some level.
I think he knew some type of operation was going on. He
Mm,
might.
mm,
I can't say 100% for sure. He knew they were going to hijack planes,
right. Right.
but I think he knew there was some kind of operation going on for sure.
Yeah, that's reasonable speculation, by the way, because
Yeah,
I just what we're reading today is just basically,
yeah,
I don't, just damning on his part. Butler did not question Sheikh further about the hijackers. It did not keep a record of what Sheikh told them. Now, by the way, I hate to interject, but I want to add this too because it's important.
sure,
When I
sure.
read Operation Encore, also the FBI, and the FBI released a report a long time ago. This is what Operation Encore was detailing in their investigation, which followed the pen bomb investigation. So the Inspector General of the FBI wrote a report releasing that one of the mistakes the FBI made was that Butler, whose name was used as a code name because he was still active, um, should have written a report and should have followed up on these
Right.
two men,
Hmm.
and should have written a daily report, but he did not. And that's a tough call there because there's really a
Yeah.
non-story here. They're not implicated in any crime, but
Correct.
if any information comes from a confidential source, it has to be written in a I forgot the name of the form that Mussini once told me about, what informants write with, and I forgot the name of it. Forgive me. Um, Butler did not question Sheikh further about the hijackers. I only recorded information about persons with some nexus to international terrorism,
Hmm.
foreign counterintelligence, or criminal activity. Right. Because just like you said, Darren, if he gives up these names,
Yeah.
he could be giving up the source, could be giving up the operation
Operation.
because, right, exactly.
I think that
Because,
I think that makes the most sense
yeah,
out
I
of this.
agree with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Yeah. There was no evidence of an Al Qaeda presence in San Diego prior to 9/11, an FBI representative told the joint inquiry. A later probe by the Justice Department's Inspector General was likewise unable to interview Sheikh. The Inspector General reviewed the assets file and noted the asset provided information on a regular basis on a variety of different individuals and topics. But it was not clear what information the asset had provided to the FBI about Al Hazmi and Al Midar before September 11th. The FBI keeps information from confidential human sources like Sheikh separated from the ordinary file system. That's why I said, there's a
Hmm.
separate file written on. Sheikh CF's file, we were told, is unlikely
Hmm.
ever to be released. Wow.
So there must be some good shit in there. Sorry.
Damn
Yeah,
straight.
there's got to
That's
be
an
some good
understatement.
information in there.
Yeah, that's something else. And you wonder now
Yeah.
if it's never to be released,
Yeah,
that
there's something juicy in there, Adam.
yeah, that the FBI knew that this guy was involved with Al Qaeda
Hmm.
because Al-Midar and Al-Hazmi are known Al Qaeda operatives,
Absolutely.
and that by effect that he actually knew who they were,
That
which
that
would
make
make him an Al Qaeda asset.
if you're not going to release something ever, there's something damning in there.
Yeah, damning in both regards, right?
Yeah.
With the FBI and Al Qaeda inside the United States. If he had been questioned, Sheikh might have supplied the names of four individuals he did tell the Bureau about after the attacks. All four have been the subject of FBI investigations, and three of them have been under active investigation at the time the future hijackers were living in San Diego.
Hmm.
Though their names remain redacted in the inquiry's report, one of the men had been identified in press reports as former Tampa resident. Here's our guy, Osama Mustafa Sam.
Oh, there he
There he
is.
is.
There's
There he is.
Sam.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
face
Oh,
I can never
no,
forget,
that
Darren.
guy that guy is an interesting character. What I did some information on him,
Yeah.
and what I came to find out about him is he was born in Chicago. I think back in '63.
Oh,
So he was born in Chicago, Illinois. This guy, I believe, here's an interesting 1991, I believe, he got
hmm.
pulled over in San Diego and he told the police like the United States needs another Pan Am 103 to happen to him. he
Yeah.
he hated the United States.
Ah,
And then I found out in 1994 he was part of the PFLP.
oh, was he really?
Oh, he was 94. So if people are not familiar with the PFLP, that's George Habash's group up there, a pro
Oh, yeah.
Marxist. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, right, right.
They're involved in what hijackings and assassinations in the 70s. um, so and then he's a known associate with Osama Basan, and then he even cheered the 9/11 attacks. This guy, and Al Hazmi was working at his Texaco gas station there
Right, right.
in Mesa, California. So this guy is definitely a suspect, big time.
And he's a glaring suspect, Darren.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, that's
yeah,
fantastic. I didn't know
yeah.
he was born in Chicago
He was born in
or with,
Chicago, I think in '63, if I remember right.
right. But and he was affiliated with the PFLP,
Yeah,
was he really?
PFLP, absolutely, he was
Geez.
'94. Yeah,
Mustafa owned a gas station where Al Hazmi worked for about a month while living with Dr. Sheikh, according to the 9/11 Commission report. Mustafa previously had been the subject of an FBI counterterrorism investigation that yielded no evidence of criminal conduct. I just remembered, and it's talking. Okay, it talks about it here. In 2013,
yeah, yeah,
Mustafa
yeah.
was convicted in connection with a $17 million tax refund fraud scheme. He vanished while out on bond, was sentenced in absentia to 20 years in prison. In
Yep,
2019, he was captured in Jordan
Jordan.
and extradited. Mustafa is currently housed at federal prison in Virginia and has a projected release date of August 3rd, 2035. Wonder if he's up for an interview.
Let's do it.
I wonder what
so,
we could get out of him.
so what I want to point out about that tax fraud scheme is a lot of these terrorists. That's what they do. They come up with these schemes, like these
Yes.
Ponzi schemes. They
Yeah.
get
Yeah. Yeah.
money
Yeah.
with credit cards and all this stuff. I
Yeah.
think Nelson found out it was a PFLP member back in the early '90s. They would do like welfare and food stamps. They would sell them. They get money to fund
Right. Right.
terrorism.
Right.
And the one in Florida, I forget his name, Adam. He did it for baby bottles. They were selling baby bottles and baby formula, and using that money, they were doing some shady stuff to fund terrorist activities. And this is all going on around the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, um,
Right. Right.
as well. So I think some additional funding was coming for the World Trade Center bombing in '93. It's all connected. It's crazy how when you can just connect these little things like this, and
Yeah.
you go back.
Yeah.
It's this is what I love about 9/11. It's just not 9/11, Adam. It's like
Right.
let's go
Right.
back to the '80s, the early. We can just
Yeah.
go back, and it's all connected slowly, but it's all weirdly connected. It's crazy.
That's an excellent point. I have raises sometimes. I'm like, you want to know about 9/11? You have to go back in time,
You do, you
right?
do, you
And
really
the
do.
further you go back, you're like, well, does it make sense to go back? Well, yes, it does actually.
It
People
does.
ask me, why do you talk about Wahhabism? The rise of Abu Nidal and
Hmm.
stuff like this, right? Why does Nelson write so much about the PLO and stuff like this? He's the
This
expert
is
out of all of us
this is
regarding
why.
that. But yeah, this is the
Why?
reason why, as Darren
This is the
says.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the reason why.
Absolutely.
Another man about whom Sheikh appears to have said nothing before the attacks was Yasir Bushnak. I never heard that name before.
Never heard of him either.
Or
I guess yeah.
really, never heard of
No,
him.
I guess he's from Yemen.
Or perhaps Bughshnan. Documents from Operation Encore released in late 2021 revealed that Sheikh repeatedly mentioned the man in his post 9/11 interviews. He was, Sheikh said, a wealthy Yemeni friend of Al Hazmi who visited the Lemon Grove house. Bushnak was also friendly with Al Al Bayoumi and reportedly made a $40,000 donation to repair the
Yeah.
roof of a local mosque at his request. Sheikh tried to get a similar donation from Bushnak for his own small mosque, but failed. In mid 2001, Sheikh and Bushnak attended a fundraiser for the Holy Land Foundation together. Holy Land Foundation was under investigation by the FBI after 9/11 and basically was found to have terrorist activity
Yep.
connections, funding Hamas and Al Qaeda and whatnot. In December 2001, the Holy Land Foundation was designated as a terrorist entity by the Bush administration. Buxton, meanwhile, is a common Saudi name shared by, among others, members of one of the kingdom's largest conglomerates. Figures
Hmm.
two bookshelves are listed in Bayumi's address book for the relevant period. I mean, yeah, it goes back to your point. Everyone's connected here.
It's all connected.
That Al Hazmi might have introduced Bayumi and Sheikh to such a wealthy friend, whichever last name is correct, is surely of note, even if the FBI's informant missed it prior to 9/11. Even in 2024, much of the section of the Joint Acres report dealing with Sheikh remains redacted. What is available notes significant inconsistencies about the date on which Sheikh claimed to have met the future hijackers. He said it was September of 2000, when in fact it had been May. There
Wow.
was evidence, too, that Sheikh might have met the pair even earlier. He never told the FBI about their flight training in San Diego. Oh my goodness. Okay, so
Ooh.
listen, man, I'm going to go with you here and say, maybe he knew something was up.
Wow. Well,
I'm going to
he knew,
agree with you.
yeah, he knew something, Adam. Something. Ah, man, how can I explain this? He knew something big was happening, and I don't know if he knew exactly the exact plan because
Right, the
we
specifics, the
because
specifics.
we actually have done some research where we believe maybe some of the hijackers didn't even know they were going to crash planes. Some
Right,
might be
that's right. That's right.
some might just been on there to hijack them and maybe bring the planes back. They didn't know they were on a martyrdom mission.
Right.
Um, so that's why I'm going to say here he didn't know exactly what the plan was, but I do believe he knew something big in the United States was going to happen. He had to, Adam. There's no way. Just because if the FBI if they're never going to release his documents, this is the guilty plea right here.
Boy, I think that's an understatement again, Darren. It's like, wow, all right. Now I think your speculative theory really is making a lot of sense here
Yeah,
because, I mean, if he's not telling Butler much about anything about Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi and only giving their first names and didn't even tell them that, yeah, I met him in September 2000. Meanwhile, it was much earlier than that,
right.
and didn't tell them that they were, training to be flight students. They were training them in flight schools in San Diego. Why the big hush, right? I mean, where
Right.
there's smoke, there's fire. The only what
Absolutely.
me and Darren are saying here is that you know we don't know the specifics, okay? But we're also not going to imply that he knew everything about the operation.
Correct.
It does seem, like Darren said earlier, and I think he's going to be right here, that he might have known something,
Yes.
but not the technical details, right? He claimed against all the odds of probability that future Flight 77 hijacker pilot Hani Hanjour was not the Hani he had met, even though the FBI in Operation Encore file, even though in pen file states that Hani Hanjour was in San Diego.
Hmm.
Four other bulleted items questioning Sheikh's credibility was redacted by government censors, either completely or in substantial part. My God.
Yeah.
When the inquiry's report was made public, Dr. Sheikh was beside himself. He denied having acted as an informant. This is the greatest country, Sheikh bitterly told a reporter. I try to bring Muslims into the mainstream, and this is what I get. While Sheikh was never paid for his services to the Bureau, wow, he was given 100 grand when he retired as a source.
Wow. Not bad.
Right, but now I've studied, forensic psychology and true crime over the years, La Cosa Nostra and stuff like this. Um, and I never heard of an FBI informant not getting paid, but getting a lump sum at the end. This is the first time I
Yeah,
ever heard something like that.
right.
I wonder.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because you know what I'm trying to, of course, the gears, speculative gears are going in my head right now. So I'm thinking, Darin, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Maybe the reason why he wasn't getting paid was that the FBI was fishing him for information about more and more and more. He was giving them information, but at the same time, the FBI is stingy, whatnot. But then at the end, they paid him because he's disgruntled. His name is out there. He might just say, screw the FBI. They gave him a source. What do you think of that?
I think I'm gonna go with you. I think it was more like, hey, shut the hell up, take your money, don't talk about it again. We're
Mm,
done.
mm.
I think that's what it is. That makes the most sense because, like I said, Iman Salem we know about him with the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. They paid him,
Yes, yes, yes.
1,500 a month or
Right.
whatever, a week or whatever it was. This guy not getting paid, and all of a sudden, oh, here's 100 grand. That's pretty fishy. I think it was basically, here, we're done with you. Take this
Yeah.
money, shut up, never talk about it.
Yeah. But the payment could not, Special Agent Gore said, restore the damage we had done to his personal and professional reputation in the community. What is clear, the Joint Inquiry concluded, is that the informant's contacts with the hijackers, had they been capitalized on, would have given the San Diego FBI field office perhaps the intelligence community's best chance to unravel the 9/11 plot. Yeah,
Yep,
that's correct.
yep,
I mean, let's
spot
and
on.
it's almost, you brought this up in the other video too. Had the FBI captured Al Midar and Hazmi in Los Angeles,
Mhm.
who knows what they could have told. And so there's missed chances here left and right. Thank you, NSA and CIA, by the way, and State Department later on.
Yep, yep. Thank you, guys.
While the whole episode drew derision on the Bureau, there was another government agency at least as culpable. And we all know this is the CIA. By March of 2000, only weeks after they had settled in San Diego, the CIA knew that Al Hazmi had arrived in California, something that me and Darin talk about endlessly,
Yep,
endlessly.
absolutely.
They had long known that Al Midar had a U.S. visa, which was intentionally withheld from the FBI at the Bin Laden Issue Station.
Mm-hmm.
The agency chose not to share that information with the FBI. Not, by the way, another agency that knew they were here were the NSA.
NSA. Yep.
The agency chose not to share that information with the FBI. None of the agents in San Diego had the right questions to ask. Co-opted. At the July 31st hearing in New York, a lawyer for the 9/11 families drove home the point that Al-Hazmi al-Midar did not arrive at Sheikh's home by happenstance. It was a plan that had been carefully and meticulously developed by Omar al-Bayoumi in conjunction with other Saudi officials,
Yep.
meaning Muassed al-Jarrah, Mutia Balsaderi, and Adel al-Sadhan, and the two guys that Darin mentioned earlier that we didn't write the article for. Lawyers for the kingdom deny al-Bayoumi played any such role. Al-Bayoumi did not introduce Sheikh to al-Hazmi al-Midar. Their motion reads, there is no evidence he had anything to do with them moving into Sheikh's house, which we know is not true anymore.
Yep. We had video of it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the denials here,
It's
but
just
again,
lies,
it's
lies,
just like,
lies. Yeah.
yeah, might as well. There are there are elements to Sheikh's story that had not yet emerged in court. The assertion of a former senior FBI counterterrorism agent identified as CS-22. All right, now they're talking about the Canestraro document here
Yep.
because
Yep.
Canestraro document classified the names of these people from the FBI, CIA, and people from the congressional inquiries
Mm-hmm.
because of the simple fact that he's telling Canestraro classified information. So
Correct.
whoever CS-22 was, can't be named because it's classified information. That the post 9/11 investigation into Sheikh's activities showed he was receiving funds from the Saudi Arabian government while he was serving as an informant for the FBI. Bing. I mean, end of story. No more. That's it. He's the government and Sheikh unknown. He's there. We
Yep.
read that earlier. He
Yep.
visited there. He met Bayoumi there. He met Fahad. It's over.
Yep.
There's no more speculation. CS-22 statement is contained in a July 2021 sworn declaration by Donald Canestraro, which I think is the biggest revelation in all of 9/11.
The best. The best.
Yeah. A defense team investigator for Guantanamo detainees, Omar al-Baluchi. I interviewed one of the lawyers for Omar al-Baluchi, Alka Pradhan, and she was great. Then there is the fact that although Sheikh repeatedly said the hijackers had not used his phone, later analysis on the record showed that they did at least receive calls on it.
Yeah.
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 So,
More.
okay,
Just
Darin,
more lies.
I'm with you.
I'm done.
This guy knew something.
Absolutely.
Why would he lie
Absolutely.
about it?
100%
Why?
knew something.
I mean, in the summer of 2000, there was a flurry of calls to the house from the phone of a young Saudi prince, Nawaf bin Saud bin Mohammed bin Al Saud. Now, the only reason why I know about this name is because, again, Florida Bulldog gets all the credits. They named this guy. And I think it was
Yep.
Robbyn Swan that wrote the article about
Mhm.
that because his cell phone was used by Khalid
All right.
Abdulsatar.
Well, that's me.
Between June and November, meanwhile, there were 16 calls from an Al Qaeda safe house in Pakistan, FBI reports say. Now that's interesting. And I'm guessing here. I'm not, don't quote me. Um, there is a safe house in Pakistan. I think it's in Quetta or
Okay.
Karachi, one of them, where Yoshi Fuda interviewed Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and Ramzi bin Al
Bin
Shif.
Rashid. Okay.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
you know about him and
Oh yeah.
you read that book, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Masterminds of Terror. Yeah.
Absolutely.
A peculiar, I don't know if that's the same house, so I'm just, speculating. A peculiar factor, if one is to accept the evidence that has emerged about the nature of Sheikh's relation with Omar al-Biyumi, is what he told 9/11 Commission staff in his only official interview. People, Sheikh said, including future hijacker al-Hazmi, had spoken of Omar al-Biyumi as being an agent for the
Yep.
Saudis.
Yes.
This is actually mentioned in the Pent Bomb report in Operation Hardcore. Um, and that just goes to show you that Omar Aboom is this, really careless character. He's just,
Yes.
being very obvious. Um, Sheikh was too old and ill to be formally interviewed by the current legal action against the kingdom. Sources close to the investigation claim, however, that the evidence that they had developed shows the FBI informant Sheikh as having all the traits of a classic double agent
There it is.
Darren.
There it
There
is.
it is.
There it is.
Nail on the head, Darren. Nail on the head. Good call. FBI handler Stephen Butler told the Joint Inquiry that Sheikh had been duped by the hijackers. Regarding to the new allegations about Sheikh's role, former Special Agent Charles Gore conceded it was possible that Omar be paid or otherwise introduce Sheikh to provide information on one acquaintance or another. Without seeing solid evidence, he did not believe, he said firmly, that the man he had known would have wittingly worked for the Saudi regime. If
Mhm.
the plaintiff's lawyer's arguments hold, it may be that such evidence is about to emerge. Wow.
Yeah, that's huge. I when I read at the end, I was like, "There's more coming.
Yeah, you
There's
that
more
that
coming."
is definitely true. Darren, bombshell.
Hmm.
Really? What are your thoughts?
Um, well, I want to thank the Florida Bulldog and Robert Swan and
Yes, yes.
Dan Christian over there. Just a phenomenal job over there. Again, I really want to say to everyone that's watching this, please go follow them, subscribe to
Mhm.
them, do whatever you can. They have awesome articles. This isn't the only one. They got numerous articles about this, and basically one bombshell after another. And this one is one of the top ones. So, yeah, it's like I said, Adam. When I messaged you this today, I was like, yeah, we should probably talk about this one.
Yeah,
I
yeah, for sure.
it's huge. It really is because again, it's more cover up. It's FBI cover up here along CIA, but more FBI cover up here than
Hmm.
usual. So yeah, again, this is you shake your head because I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, it's just lies after lies and cover after cover up, and for the Saudis.
Yeah,
um, so yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just crazy. I'm glad we got names. I'm glad we
yeah,
got things
yeah.
we can go by
Agreed.
instead of
Yeah.
speculation. But yeah, the Shake article here is very damning for him, especially because a lot of people thought he was just FA informant. He
Right.
didn't do much, didn't know much, but
Mhm.
in actuality, it looks like he knew a hell of a lot more than it led on to believe. So yeah, this is some crazy information. It's about to get better, I believe.
Yeah, and I listen, just to harp on that and end the video here is just that look, he also knew Omar al-Biyumi and Fahad al-Thamari. So it's like there's no separate nexus. It's one huge
Yeah,
cell,
one huge
right?
cell. Hmm.
And something that you mentioned earlier before, where everything's connected. Everything this is a
It
great
really
statement
is.
you
It
made
really
earlier.
is.
Everything's connected. And, if you want a conspiracy, again, truth movement, here it is. You want to say that we're the defenders of the official narrative. Meanwhile, we're criticizing the
Absolutely.
agency and the government in Israel and Saudi Arabia. We talk about these things all the time, but we don't talk about the outlandish theories. But here, right here, you have, as Darren said, names, dates, faces with the
Absolutely.
operations involved. What more do you need, right? Robbyn, but again, just to echo your sentiments about Robbyn Swan and Anthony Summers and Dan Christensen, preeminent. They're the best when it comes to
Absolutely.
online reporting, updates on the Saudi kingdom against the federal government of the United States and the 9/11 victims' families. Um, it's just it's all the bombshells coming out of them is just amazing, like just fantastical. Because Darren, we were supposed to talk about the article of the two Saudis, and then this came, and I'm
This
like,
came.
oh my,
This was, yeah. This was a little bit bigger than the other
yeah,
one.
this was,
The other one just
yeah,
talked
this,
about basically talked about two other agents that we never heard of before that were pre-planning the arrival of Hazmi Al Mindar
yeah,
into California. But I just want to say one last thing before we
yeah,
probably
sure,
get off here. Is Truth Movement? Listen to me. There was hijackers and there was planes. If you can get past that, guys, after 23 years, this will make a hell of a lot more sense for you. For the Please, planes and hijackers were part of 9/11 and it
right,
happened. Get past that and get through the BS of no planes, no hijackers, and this stuff right here that we're talking about, pertinent information makes will make a lot more sense for
mhm,
you because like you said, Adam, we have complicity with the CIA, the NSA, and now we have FBI cover up right here. But you can't get past the fact that planes and hijackers were used in 9/11. And that's the issue. And this is why the truth movement has been saturated with toxicity because they can't get past that. Just can't get past that, Adam. They can't believe in hijackers or planes. And man, what a shame because this is some great information to the public now that we know.
and I'm just going to end it right there. Perfectly said, Darren. And listen, I'm Adam Fitzgerald of the Dark Hour. Darin Harvey from Beyond Ground Zero. Hey, listen, guys, thank you for tuning in. Share it amongst everybody. It's
Absolutely.
breaking news.
Thank you
Have a
guys.
good
Have a good
night.
night.